Hello everyone, welcome to Testbird MBA Prep. In this session, we will look into bar graphs. Throughout this session, we will solve 5 sets of different bar graphs. Let's move on to the first one. The elections for the Governing Council of BCCI are conducted every 3 years, the details of which are given in the following graph. Okay, so you can see the elections for the 4 years, right, from 2000 to 2009, and this blue bar represents the total number of votes polled. This black one represents the votes polled by male, and the green one represents the valid votes by female voters, and this last part represents the valid votes by male voters. So the question is, in 2000, what percentage of the votes polled by the female voters was invalid? So here we do not have directly it's not given that regarding the female voters. So about the invalid female votes, it's not given directly. So what shall we do is, we know the total votes in the year 2000 is 378, right? So let's take it here. So total votes are 378, out of which total male candidates were 200. If male are 200, then female candidates will be 378 minus 200, which is 178. And in male we have valid and invalid, and female also we have valid and invalid votes. It's given that the valid votes by female voters are 89, right? So if the valid votes, if this part is 89, then what about this 178 minus 89, which is one more 89, right? So the total invalid votes polled by the female voters were 89. But our question is, what percentage of the votes polled by the female voters was invalid? So we have to take the invalid female votes by total female votes, right? So what are invalid female votes? 89, and total female votes are 178, which is equal to 50%. Or directly you can say that 89 and 89, so if these are divided in a equal way, so we can say that this is 50%, right? So what's the next question? During which of the following years was the percentage of invalid votes in the total number of votes polled the highest? So here the percentage of invalid votes, so invalid votes by of invalid votes in the total number of votes polled, okay. So invalid by total number of votes, we have to find out this percentage maximum for which year. But if we observe here, to find invalid votes, we can first add the valid votes, and then we have to subtract with the total number of votes in order to get invalid votes, right? In case, so for instance, if we want to take the invalid votes for the year 2003, we have to add the valid votes first, and then we have to subtract with the total number of votes. So in order to simplify our calculation, what we will do now is, we'll consider like this. See, invalid by total into 100 maximum is equal to valid by total into 100 minimum, right? In pie charts we discussed about this. So valid votes, it's easy to calculate now, because if we just add these two, then we'll get the number of valid votes, right? So add these two, 89 plus 101 for 2000, 90 plus 106 plus 2003, right? So add this. For 2000 it's 190, and this is for 2000. Okay, so I have added the total valid votes, and in the denominator I have taken the total number of votes of that particular year. So the percentage, we have to find out the percentage, so we must multiply with 100. But why I am not considering into 100 is, into 100 is constant for all the years, so no need to bother about it. Okay, so 190 by 378, this is more than 50%, right? And 198 by 421 is less than 50%. We have to find out the minimum value here, right? So minimum value, so 300 by 487 is something, it's greater than 50%, whereas 250 by 522 is less than 50%. So we can directly eliminate the options which are greater than 50%, because we want only the minimum value. So between this one and this one, we have to choose the correct answer. If we closely observe, this value 196 by 421, you can also take the percentage to find out which value is lesser. Okay, so 196 by 421 is less than 250 by 522. You can take LCM, or better, you can take the percentage. You can multiply each and every fraction with 100, so you can get the lesser value. Okay, so this one is lesser than this one, so 2003 is our answer. So the next question, what was the percentage increase in the number of valid votes from 2003 to 2009? Okay, so from 2003 to 2009, the number of valid votes. Okay, so let's move on to the graph. From 2003, where is 2003? Yeah, 2003 to 2009, what are the number of valid votes? So in 2003, what are the number of valid votes? 90 plus 106, 196. So in 2009, the number of valid votes are 150 plus 100, 250. Okay, so we have to take the difference by the initial value into 100, right? 250 minus 196. So 250 minus 196 by the initial value, which is 196, into 100. So we'll get 27.55%. Option A is the answer. This is the percentage increase. So birth rates and death rates, which means the number of births by the number of deaths per 1,000 persons of various states in the year 2014 are given in the following graph. Alright, so here rate of growth of population is equal to birth rate minus death rate, right? This is, we can take this as a reference. Okay, so Andhra, we have, for instance, we have birth rate of, this is 7.5 units, right? 7.5, this is the birth rate, and death rate is 5.5, right? If we want to calculate the rate of growth of population of Andhra, 8.5 minus 6.5, sorry, 5.5, which is, this is equal to 2. So this is the rate of growth of population of Andhra, right? Let's move on to the first question. If the rate of growth of population is expressed in percentage terms instead of number of persons per 1,000 persons, then among the states with a positive growth rate of population, the rate of growth of population of the state whose population is growing by the fastest rate is how many percentage points more than that of the state whose population is growing by the slowest rate. So you can pause the video and you can solve the question. See what is given here. The rate of growth of population is expressed in percentage terms instead of number of persons per 1,000 persons. So initially what are we given? We are given that the growth rate is expressed in number of births by deaths per 1,000 persons. But here for the first question we have to take, it is expressed in percentage terms, not per 1,000 persons, right? See, for instance, we have calculated 2 for Andhra. What is this 2? This for 1,000, the growth rate is 2 units. But here we are asked to calculate for percentage term, that means for 100. So if for 1,000, if it's 2, then for 100, it will be 2 by 1000 into 100. This is 0.2. This is for Andhra. So in the same way we have to calculate for all the states. Let's calculate. So for Andhra it's 0.2. What about Himachal? Himachal is, this is 6.5, right? This is 6.5 and this is 3.5. 6.5 minus 3.5, this is equal to 3 points, 3.3 units per 1000, but we need to calculate per 100, so this is 0.3. The same way calculate for Punjab. Punjab, the difference is 2.5, right? This one is 5, this one is touching 5, and this is touching 2.5, so that overall is 5 minus 2.5, this is 2.5. This is for Punjab, it's 2.5. So for per 1000 it's 2.5, but for 100 it's 0.25. Whereas for last one, which is for Maharashtra. So for Maharashtra it is 9.5 and this is touching 9. So 9.5 minus 9, which is for Maharashtra it is 0.5. So this is per 1000, but for 100 it's 0.05. See why we have calculated for only these 4 states. Here we are asked to find out among the states with a positive growth rate of population. So where can we find out the positive growth of population? The number of births is greater than the number of deaths, right? So for Andhra its births are greater than deaths. So for same goes with Himachal, same goes with Punjab, but in Goa the death rate is more than the birth rate. So we can ignore this for this for our first question. And for Maharashtra the birth rate is slightly more than the death rate, and for Bihar the death rate is more than the birth rate. So we are ignoring these two, Goa and Bihar, right? So among Andhra, Himachal, Punjab and Maharashtra, the percentage points more than that of state whose population is growing by the slowest. Okay, so we must find out the least, the difference between the highest value and the least value. What is the highest value here? The highest value is 0.3 and the least value is 0.05. What is the difference? 0.25. So 0.25 is our answer. If the total population of Andhra in the year 2014 was 20 lakhs and that of Maha was 30 lakhs, then then by what percent are the total birth in Andhra less than the total deaths in Maha? Okay. So in 2014, 20 lakhs was the population given for Andhra, whereas 30 lakhs for Maha. Okay. So Andhra population is 20 lakh. Let me take it as 10 power 5. And whereas the Maharashtra population is 30 lakhs. So 30 into 10 power 5. Okay, so birth rate of Andhra is 8 per 1000, whereas death rate of Maha is 9 per 1000. So if 8 is for 1000, then what is for 2 lakh members? For 2 lakh, it's 8 by 1000 into 2 lakh. Okay. So for this, 9 by 1000 into 3 lakh. Why are we doing this? Per 1000 it's 9 units, but for 3 lakhs, if we want to calculate, we must multiply that with the 9 per 1000, right? So this is number of births, this is number of deaths. So we are asked to find out what percentage are the total births in Andhra less than the total deaths in Maha. So we must subtract. So required percentage is difference by deaths in Maha into 100. So this is equal to, find out the difference, 9 by 1000 into 30 into 10 power 5 minus 8 by 1000 into 20 into 10 power 5 by what is that's in Maha, so 9 by 1000 into 30 into 10 power 5 into 100. So we are asked to find out different required percentage. So percentage into 100. So calculate this, we'll get answer as 43.85%. So option A is our answer. The infant mortality rate is defined as number of deaths of newborn babies for every 1000 births. If the total population of Punjab in the year 2014 was 15 lakh and its infant mortality rate is 4, the number of infants dying at birth expressed as a percentage approximately of the total number of deaths in Punjab is. So here what is given, infant mortality rate is the number of births, the newborn babies, right? So newborn babies, deaths of newborn babies per 1000 births. Okay, newborn babies deaths by births per 1000. Okay, so what is the population of Punjab given? Punjab's population is 15 lakh, so 15 into 10 power 5. So what is the birth rate here? Birth rate of Punjab. Okay, so for this question, a separate graph is given. I have just modified the number of the birth rate of Punjab is 5.5 and the death rate of Punjab is 3 per 1000, right? So the births are 5.5 by 1000. So for this is for 1000, but for we must calculate for 15 lakhs. So 15 into 10 power 5, this is going to be 8,250. So 82.5 into 10 power 2, which is 8,250. What about the deaths? Death rate is 3 per 1000. 3 per 1000, but we have to calculate for 15 lakhs. So 15 into 10 power 5, this will be equal to 4,500. This is births, this is deaths for 15 lakhs. Here if we assume the number of birth, the newborn baby deaths as X, right? The infant mortality rate is given already, it's 4. So this is 4, this is X. And number of births is also given, which is 8,250. So just substitute here. So then X will be equal to 4 into 8,250 by 1000. So what is our required value? The number of infants dying at birth expressed as a percentage of the total number of deaths in Punjab. So our required percentage is the number of infants dying, which is newborn babies. So this is as equal as the number of, as same as the number of newborn babies deaths. So X by number of deaths. See, of the number of total number of deaths, see in percentages we discussed whatever follows off, that must be in the denominator. So the total number of deaths is in denominator. As we have to calculate percentage, we must multiply with 100. So what is X here? 4 into 8,250 by 1000 into number of deaths, 4,500. So 4,500 into 100, this will give us 0.73%. Option 1 is the answer. So let's move on to the next set. The data of the production of all types of shirts were written from 1999 to 2003 is given below. Okay, so observe in 1999 the cotton shirts are presented with this color and the number of cotton shirts are 700 cotton shirts. So in the same way the other types as well. So what's the first question? What is the approximate average annual percentage increase in the production of cotton shirts from 1999 to 2003? So average annual percentage increase. So from 1999 to 2003, What is 1999 value of the cotton shirts in 1999? It's 700, and in 2003 it's 900. So 900 minus 700 by the initial value into 100, so this is percentage increase, so 28.56 percentage increase. But we are asked to find out average annual percentage increase, not the percentage increase itself. So the average annual percentage increase is 28.56 by how many are there? 4 are there. 4 are there, so divided by 4, this is equal to 7.14%. So we have 4 years from 99 to 2000. This is the first year. From 2000 to 2001, this is second year. This is the third year, and 2002 to 2003, this is fourth year. So we divided it by 4. So the final value is 7.14 percentage. This is close to 7.1. So 7.1% is our answer. For how many of the given years was the production of polyester shirts as a percentage of the production of linen shirts more than 60% but less than 75%? Of linen, so it must come in denominator. So polyester by linen, this percentage must be less than 75% and greater than 60%. Okay, so for how many years? So let's calculate for each and every year. For the year 1999, the polyester by linen value. The polyester, what is the polyester value? It's 900 and linen value is 1000. So 900 by 1000 into 100. For year 2000, it's the polyester value is 750 and linen value is 800. So 750 by 800 into 1000. This is greater than 90%. For 99, 900 by 1000 into 100, this is 90%. This is equal to 90%. This is greater than 90%. And for 2001, it's 600 by 850, right? Linen is 850, so 600 by 850 into 100, this is 600 by 850 into 100, so this is 70.58%. For the year 2002, it's 750 by 880 into 100, so this will be equal to 88 point some percentage, which is more than 75%. Okay, so for the year 2003, it's 800, polyester is 800 and linen is 750, so 800 by 750 into 100, which is more than 100%. So we can ignore all these values except 70.58, which is for 2001, because it's less than 75%. So for only 1 year, the percentage of production of linen shirts is more than 60% but less than 75%. So in 2002, 20% of the total production of polyester shirts were exported, and the ratio of the number of mixed cotton shirts exported to the number of polyester shirts exported was 3:2. What percentage of the total production of mixed cotton shirts were exported? Okay, so here in 2002, the total polyester production is, in 2002, the polyester production is 750. This is 750. So polyester exports, here the ratio is given. So mixed cotton shirts and the polyester shirts ratio is 3:2. So the value of polyester is 2 parts. And also the 20% of polyester production were exported. So out of 750, this 20% can be deducted. So what is 20% of 750? This is 150, right? And here the ratio is given 2:3. This is the mixed cotton shirts and the polyester shirts. So this is the ratio here. But our question is, what percentage of total production of mixed cotton shirts were exported? See, if 2 units is 150, what about 3 units? See, polyester shirts were 150, right? Exported polyester shirts. So exported mixed cotton shirts is 3 by 2 into 150. This is equal to 225. But we are asked to find out the percentage of total production of mixed cotton shirts which were exported. So mixed cotton shirts which were exported were 225, and the total mixed cotton shirts are 800 for the year 2002. So 225 by 800 into 100, so this will be equal to 28.1%. So the answer is option 1, 28.1%. See, 225 refers to the mixed cotton exports by the total mixed cotton production into 100. So this is one more bar graph which says, in the following graph, the details of the sales of mobile phones by different companies from 2010 to 2014 are given. Okay, so from 2010 to 2014, 4 different brands: Nokia, Motorola, Macromax and Sony. So sales revenue is equal to sales by volume into selling price of each mobile, each phone. Profit is equal to sales revenue minus expenditure, whereas profit percentage is equal to sales minus expenditure by expenditure into 100. So we can take this as a reference. So what is the first question? So first one is, in any year, the market share of a company is defined as the sales of the company as a percentage of the total sales by volume of the 4 companies. In which year was the market share of Macromax the highest? So market share of Macromax, so this is equal to number of units. So number of units of Macromax by total units for all the companies put together. This is how we calculate the market share of a particular brand. So in 2010, the number of units of Macromax is 600, and the total units of all the companies is the length of this bar, right? So 300 plus 450 plus 600 plus 300. So this is equal to 1650. Same goes with the 2011 as well. The number of units of Macromax in 2011 is 700 by, add all these values, 400 plus 200 plus 700 plus 100, which is 1400. So if we take for all the years, let me write it here. So this is for all the years. If we compare all the years, the value of 700 by 1400, right? This is the highest. Why? Because the numerator is the greatest among all the numerators mentioned here, and the denominator is least for all the years mentioned here. So 2011 will be the highest. If in 2010 the profit percentage obtained by Motorola on selling each mobile phone for was 40, and each mobile phone was sold at rupees 2100, then what is the expenditure incurred by Motorola in the year 2010 if all mobile phones it made were sold? Okay, so the number of units sold by Motorola in 2010. So in 2010, the number of units sold by Motorola are 450,000 units. See, in 1000 units. So 450,000 units. So 450 into 10 power 3. And profit percentage is given, which is 40%. Right? 40%. And what is the selling price? Selling price is 2100. We know profit percentage is, here it's given, right? Sales minus expenditure by expenditure into 100. Please remember, this is not the sales units, not the units sold, the value, the revenue of sales. Let me write it here. Sales minus sales revenue minus expenditure by expenditure into 100. What are total sales? Total sales are 450 into 10 power 3 units. But we must find the revenue. So the each unit is sold for 2100 into 100 by minus expenses by expenses. This is profit percentage 40, right? So if we calculate the value of E will be equal to 67.5 crores. So the option is none of these. In the year 2011, the expenditure of Nokia, Motorola, Macromax and Sony are in the ratio 4:3:7:8. Then which company had the highest profit percentage? Assume that all the companies made profit. So profit percentage is sales revenue minus expenditure by expenditure into 100. Okay, so how can we calculate sales revenue? Sales revenue is number of units into the selling price minus expenses by the expenses into 100. But what is the selling price for the companies, for all the brands? It's nowhere mentioned, right? Selling price is not mentioned, so how can we calculate? So we cannot calculate this. Option is cannot be determined. If they are, we cannot assume the selling price for each and every company is something. As it is not mentioned, we cannot calculate the value. So this is our last set, which says the following bar graphs represent the details regarding the number of flights of 4 airlines, Jet, Indigo, Kings and Pinnacle, that departed from or arrived in 6 different countries during the month of April 2014. Bar graph 1. So this represents the number of flights of various airlines that departed from each of these 6 countries, and bar graph 2 denotes the number of flights of airlines that arrived in each of the 6 countries. So during the given period, at least one flight of the each airline departed from each of the 6 countries to each of the remaining 5 countries. So what does this mean? At least one flight of each airline departed from each of the 6 countries and to each of the remaining 5 countries. See, let's say Japan is there, right? So Japan, total number of flights are departures are 30 for jet, right? For jet it is 30. This means at least one flight will go to Singapore, at least one to Mauritius, and at least one to France, one to Brazil and one to Finland. It's not like 0 to Singapore and 1 to France, not like that. At least one we have to consider. That's the meaning of this statement, and the following question is based on the number of flights of these 4 airlines. Okay. So what's the first question? The maximum number of flights that departed from Mauritius and arrived at Singapore is at most. Departure from Mauritius to Singapore, and this is arrival at Singapore from Mauritius. Okay. So from Mauritius to Singapore, the Japan, the Jet, Indigo, Kings and Pinnacle, and this is Jet, Indigo, Kings and Pinnacle. Okay. So departure, right? So we must consider bar graph 1. So from Mauritius, where is this? So 25. 25 is for Z. But the condition is given, right? At least one flight. So 20 out of this 25, at least one must go to Japan, one to Singapore, one to France, one to Brazil and one to Finland. We must subtract 4. So one is to Japan, one is to France, one is to Brazil and one is to Finland. So now it's going to Singapore, so we shouldn't we shouldn't calculate Singapore. So 1 2 3 4 4, so 25 25 minus 4, this will be equal to 21. What about indigo? Indigo's value is 27. Out of this 27, one must go to Japan, one must go to France, one to Brazil, and one to Finland. So 27 minus 4, this is 23. Same goes with kings as well. 33 minus 4, which is 29, and pinnacle is 16 minus 4, that is 12. What is arrival? Arrival at Singapore from Mauritius. So arrival at Singapore. Where is Singapore? Yeah, here. So this is 19 here, right? So 19, but one must have gone to Japan, France, Brazil, and Finland. So again we must deduct 4. So 19 minus 4, which is 15, and 17 minus 4, that's for indigo, which is 13. Kings is, this is 16. This is 16. So 16 minus 4, which is 12, and pinnacle is 22 minus 4, which is 18. Now consider the values. 21 are departing and 15 are arriving. What does this mean? So number of flights departed from Mauritius and arrived at Singapore is at most. So 21 are departing, but only 15 are arriving at Singapore. That means we must consider only 15. In second case, indigo, in case of indigo, 23 are departing from Mauritius and arriving only 13. So 13 we must calculate. So 29 and 12, consider 12, and 12 and 18, consider 12. So add all this, we'll get 52. At the maximum number of flights that departed from Mauritius and arrived at Singapore maximum. So if there are no one-way trips between France and Brazil, and every trip is a round trip, that is from France to Brazil and back to France, then what is the maximum possible numbers of such trips? Okay, so France to Brazil and Brazil to France. This is departure from France. This is arrival at Brazil. This is departure from Brazil, and this is arrival at France. So departure from France. So this is France. What about the Jet Airways? 28. So 28, and remember the first condition, one flight at least must depart to each and every other country. So 28 minus 4, which is 24. And in case of this second one, indigo, 38 minus 4, which is 34. Same goes with kings, which is 23. And the last one is pinnacle, which is 13. And arrival at Brazil. What is arrival at Brazil? This graph, bar graph 2. So 29 minus 4, which is 25. 34 minus 4, which is 30, and 22 minus 4, this is 18, and 18 minus 4, which is 14. So 24 are departing from France, but only 25 are arriving at Brazil, but we must consider only 24, right? So 34 are departing from France and 30 are arriving at Brazil, so we must consider only 30, because remaining 4 flights, they might have gone to some other country. So between 23 and 18 we must consider 18, and 13 and 14 we must consider 13. So what about departure from Brazil? Departure from Brazil is 32. So 32 minus 4, which is 28, and the second one is 22 minus 4, which is 18. The other one is 22 and the other one is 19. And arrival at France. So this one, 26 minus 4, the 22. 28 minus 4, 17 minus 4, and 22 minus 4. So this will be 24. This will be 13, and 22 minus 4, this is 22. So between 28 and 22, that means departing from Brazil, 28 flights are departing from Brazil, but only 22 are arriving. So we must consider only 22. Between 18 and 24, we must consider 18. Between 13 and 22, we must consider 13. Between 19 and 22, it's 19. Okay, so here we didn't subtract. Okay, so 22 minus 4, this is 18. So between 19 and 18, it is 18. Okay. So if we add these, so if we compare these, now these two, 24 and 22, we must take only 22. So 30 and 18, we must calculate only 18. So 18 and 13, we must calculate 13. So 13 and 18. Between 13 and 18, we must calculate 13. So we can ignore 18 because 13 are arriving at Brazil. If 13 are arriving at Brazil and again to getting back to France, those are the 13 flights which must get back. If 18 are getting back, then those are not from Brazil to France. They must be from some other country to France, right? So 13 we must calculate, not 18. So 22 plus 18 plus 12 plus 13. This will be equal to 66 round trip flights. Maximum number of round trip flights. So what is the maximum total number of flights that could have departed from any of these 6 countries to a country other than the 6 mentioned? Okay, so maximum total number of flights that could have departed from any of the 6 countries to a country. Okay, to any country, let us assume that to be India. So departure from, we have to take each and every case from Mauritius to India, departure from Japan to India, departure from Singapore to India. So if for each and everything till Finland to India, departure. Okay. So if we calculate from Mauritius to India, it is 25 is the Jet Airways. So here India, if we consider India here next to Finland, so 25, consider the first case, each and every flight, that is at least one flight must go to at least one country. So one must go to Japan, one must go to Singapore, one must go to France, one must go to Brazil. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and Finland as well, 5. So 25 minus 5 in this case. Because one country is added now. So 25 minus 5, which is 20. In the second case, 27 minus 5, that is 22. In the third case, 33 minus 5, that is 28. And the fourth case, 16 minus 5, that is 11. So add this. This is departure from Mauritius to India. And then you calculate from Japan to India, you will get a value. All are departures, not arrivals. So you can neglect bar graph 2 now for this question. So from Singapore to India, you will get one value. Till Finland to India, you will get all the values. So now add all these values. Now you'll get 495 as the answer. Remember to subtract 5 in each and every case, because one flight must depart to at least one country. So this is the first country, second, third, fourth and fifth country, right? Okay. Because as we are considering the maximum total number of flights, we must consider the minimum values that depart for the other countries other than the required country. So in this session we solved 5 different bar graphs, right? In case you haven't subscribed our channel, do subscribe it, and you can also join our Telegram group. So thank you for watching. Hope this is helpful to you. Now you can solve different bar graphs, sets, right? DI, already we covered line graphs, pie charts, bar graphs. So in the upcoming videos we will cover the mixed graph, the tables and caselettes, and we'll move on to the logical reasoning part. So thank you very much. All the very best.